We reside in an age of incessant digital noise, where the true essence of a human being is often reduced to mere numbers and hollow, fleeting metrics. In this modern era, we are constantly bombarded by the chaotic frequencies of a world that never sleeps, losing our sense of self in the digital void. The value of a soul is now weighed by the judgment of strangers and the superficial vanity of a screen, leaving us drifting in a sea of uncertainty. Yet, amidst this turbulence, there stands a silent reminder of a different path, a philosophy of stone and spirit that has survived the rise and fall of empires. Look into the eyes of the ancients, who understood that the only true territory one can ever master is the vast and often untamed landscape of the mind. They speak to us across the centuries, asking if we are merely leaves swept away by the storm, or if we possess the strength to remain completely unmoved. Consider the cliff that stands against the fury of the ocean, absorbing the violent impact of every wave without losing its fundamental shape or its rooted dignity. The water may rage and the winds may howl, but the stone remains, indifferent to the temporary anger of the elements, grounded in its own eternal silence. Are you the wave that breaks itself in a moment of passion? Or are you the mountain that watches the storm pass with a heart of granite? To be immutable is not to be dead, but to be so deeply centered that the external world cannot dictate the rhythm of your own internal pulse. Breathe deeply and find the space between the impact and the reaction. For in that small silence lies the entire secret of your personal and spiritual freedom. We wander through the fog of public opinion, searching for a mirror that will tell us who we are, forgetting that the mirror is often warped and broken. Every judgment from others is but a distorted reflection, a shadow cast by their own fears and limitations, rather than a true measure of your inherent worth. If you build your house on the shifting sands of praise, you must also be prepared to watch it crumble when the inevitable winds of criticism arrive. The fortress of the soul must be built on something more permanent than the applause of a crowd that will surely forget your name by the morning. When you seek validation from the external world, you are effectively handing over the keys to your inner sanctuary to complete strangers who do not know you. This is the ultimate betrayal of the self, allowing the fickle whims of society to define the boundaries of your happiness and the depth of your character. True equanimity is not a state of cold indifference, but a profound separation between your core identity and the chaotic variables that define the modern human experience. Within the silence of these forgotten halls, the voices of the wise remind us that our peace must be found within, far away from the noisy marketplace. One must learn to sit at the table of their own mind and be satisfied with the company of their thoughts, without needing the noise of others. The pursuit of recognition is an endless race where the finish line is constantly moved by the very people you are trying so desperately to impress today. Discard the masks you wear to please the world, for they only weigh you down and obscure the light of the authentic self that lives deep within. To be truly free is to be independent of the good opinion of others, standing tall in the vast hall of your own existence, unafraid of silence. Listen to the deep resonance of your own soul, a melody that persists even when the world's orchestra is out of tune and the audience has left. There is a power in the quiet observation of life, a strength that comes from knowing that your internal world is your only true and permanent home. Do not let the prism of social expectation fragment your focus. Hold on to the singular light of your purpose and let it guide you through the dark. Draw a circle around your peace and permit no one to cross it without your consent. For your mental sanctuary is the most sacred ground you possess. The fortress you build in your mind must be stronger than any stone castle, reinforced by the hard-won wisdom of experience and the iron will of discipline. Take back the keys to your happiness. Stop looking for permission to exist and start realizing that you are the master of your own internal kingdom. From this height, the petty grievances and fleeting trends of the world seem small and insignificant, like dust motes caught in the light of a setting sun. Find your true north and let it be the anchor that keeps you steady when the winds of change try to blow you off your destined course. We are drowning in a digital sea of false connections, chasing ghosts of approval while the real self withers away in the shadows of our own neglect. Disconnect from the noise to reconnect with the silence that birthed you. For in that silence lies the power to rebuild what the world has broken. Resilience is the flower that blooms in the cracks of hardship, proving that even in the harshest environments, the soul can find a way to flourish. The architecture of the mind requires a blueprint of reason, a structural design where every pillar is a virtue and every wall is a boundary of self-respect. In the vast desert of existence, your fortress must be the oasis of clarity, a place where the parched soul can find the cool waters of truth. Look to the mountains, for they are the physical manifestation of the immutable spirit, standing tall while the clouds beneath them are in constant, restless motion. Carve your principles into the stone of your heart, so that no matter how many years pass, The foundations of your character remain sharp and clear. Guidance comes from within, from the invisible anchors we drop into the depths of our own consciousness to keep us from drifting into the abyss of chaos. The gates of your fortress should only open for that which ennobles your spirit. Everything else must be left outside to wither in the cold wind. Walk with the confidence of one who knows they are protected by their own internal strength. A strength that does not need to shout to be heard. Discipline is the anchor that prevents the ship of the soul from being smashed against the rocks of impulse and the storms of unbridled emotion. Seneca taught us that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality, building ghosts that haunt our fortress before the battle has even begun today. The word, reason, is not just a tool, it is the mortar that holds the bricks of your life together when the world tries to pull them apart. Carry the light of reason into the darkest corners of your fear. For once the light is cast, the shadows of doubt have nowhere left to hide. You cannot control the lightning or the rain, but you can control the depth of your roots and the flexibility of your branches during the storm. Even in the most delicate of structures, there is an inherent logic and strength that allows it to survive the night and catch the morning sun. Keep the edge of your mind sharp through constant study and reflection, so that you may cut through the illusions of the world with effortless precision. Build a bridge between your values and your actions, for a person who lives in alignment with their truth is a person who cannot be shaken. Look beyond the immediate and the trivial, realize that you are a part of a vast, cosmic order that is indifferent to your petty social anxieties. This is your fortress of reason, the place where you go to remember who you are when the world tries to tell you who you should be. In this sacred space, external noise becomes a whisper, and the internal voice of wisdom becomes a thunderous roar that guides your every single step forward. Let the foundations of your character be as deep as the earth's crust, unyielding even when the surface of your life experiences the most violent tremors. The battle for your mind is fought every single day, in every choice you make to stay centered while everything around you is spinning out of control. Rise above the fray like the eagle, who uses the very winds that cause others to hide to soar higher into the clear blue of heaven. Time is the only currency you truly own. Do not waste it building monuments to the opinions of people who will be gone in the next hour. Immutability is not the absence of movement, but the perfection of it. It is the ability to remain calm even as you move through the world. Be like the lake that absorbs the stone without losing its level surface, returning to its natural state of peace almost as soon as the disturbance ends. When the world is possessed by a frenzy of trends and temporary passions, the one who chooses to stand still is the one who truly moves. This is the art of being in the world but not of it. A state of being where you are the silent observer of the surrounding madness. You are the mountain, and the opinions of others are merely the clouds that pass over your peak. They do not change your height or your majesty. Protect the purity of your mind as if it were a fragile flame in a heavy wind. For once the inner light is extinguished, the world darkens. Learn to say no to the distractions that do not serve your higher purpose. For every yes to the trivial is a no to your soul. The path of the immutable is often a lonely one, but it is the only path that leads to the true mountain peak of ultimate self-mastery. Shape your life with the same care and patience as a master potter, knowing that every movement must be intentional and every pressure must be measured. The wind will blow where it will, but the grass that knows how to bend does not break, and the heart that knows how to observe remains. Maintain the internal rhythm of your principles, regardless of the external pace of the world, for your time is governed by a higher and more eternal law. When you align yourself with the stars, the drama of the earth becomes a play you watch from a distance, rather than a war you must fight. Dialogue with yourself every day. Be your own teacher, your own student, and your own most honest critic within the quiet walls of your private thoughts. The climb to self-mastery is steep and requires you to leave behind the heavy baggage of other people's expectations and your own outdated fears of failure. Let your presence be like the scent of incense, subtle yet pervading, a reminder of the sacred in a world that has forgotten how to be still. In the cold light of the moon, see your life for what it truly is, a brief flash of consciousness in a long and silent eternity. Wisdom is the bread of the soul. Feed yourself on the words of those who have already conquered the very storms you are facing today. Even in ruin, the ancient temples command respect because they were built with an eye toward the eternal rather than the momentary convenience of the present. Each morning is an opportunity to rebuild your fortress, to reinforce the walls that have been weakened by the stresses and the strains of the previous day. Cultivate a mind that is as vast as the horizon, capable of holding both the joy and the sorrow of life without being overwhelmed by either. Be the light that does not flicker, the flame that burns steadily even when the world around it is caught in a whirlwind of change and chaos. Stability is found in the depths, not on the surface. Look deeper into your own soul to find the foundation that can never be washed away. Silence is the language of the strong. Learn to speak it fluently, and you will find that you no longer need the world's permission to be at peace. In absolute silence, you finally begin to hear the voice of truth, a voice that is often drowned out by the constant chatter of the crowd. Solitude is not a lack of company, but a presence of self. It is in the quiet moments alone that we truly meet the person we are. Do not fear being alone, for the fortress of the mind is reinforced in the stillness of solitude. Far from the distracting influence of external world, the shadows of the past may linger, but in the light of your own awareness, they become merely patterns on the wall rather than threats to your peace. The forest knows the value of the mist, for in the hidden spaces, life grows at its own pace, protected from the harsh glare of the sun. There is a sacredness in the cold, a clarity that only comes when we strip away the warmth of social comfort and face our own naked truth. The strongest among us are those who can sit comfortably in an empty room, without the need for a screen, a drink, or a distraction. Voluntary solitude is the ultimate luxury of the free mind, a choice to step back and observe the world from a place of quiet and power. Wisdom watches from the shadows, learning more in its silence than the loud ever will in their constant. Desperate need to be heard by everyone. Build your own fire in the wilderness of your life, and do not be afraid if the only one there to warm themselves is your own soul. The weight of your own existence is enough to carry, do not add the heavy, useless stones of other people's problems and their petty, hollow dramas. Flow like the water, which finds its way around every obstacle without losing its destination, remaining true to its nature even when the path is difficult. Accept the cold, accept the silence, and accept yourself. In this acceptance, the fortress of your mind becomes truly impregnable to any outside force. The lone tree in winter does not mourn the loss of its leaves, it prepares for the spring in the deep, quiet darkness of its own roots. Your growth is measured in seasons, not in days. Be patient with your soul and let it strengthen in the quiet. Away from the prying eyes. There is a beauty in the frozen moments of life, a chance to stop and see the world without the blur of constant, mindless, and chaotic action. Let your inner light be your guide through the long night of the soul. A steady beam that never wavers, no matter how cold the wind. The end of solitude is not the return to the crowd, but the return to the world with a heart that can never be lonely again. Awaken to your own power. You are the architect, the guard, and the king of the vast and beautiful landscape that lives deep inside of you. The world will continue its frantic dance of change, but you have found the center, the point of stillness around which the entire universe seems to revolve. From this moment forward, you are no longer a victim of circumstance, but a master of response, a person whose value is dictated only by themselves. Step out into the world with the quiet authority of one who has seen the truth and has decided to live by it, regardless of the cost. The only crown worth wearing is the one you place upon your own head through the victory of self-discipline and the triumph of your internal reason. Harvest the wisdom of your experiences and store it deep within your fortress, for it will sustain you during the long winters of the soul ahead. Carry the fire of your purpose into everything you do, and let the heat of your conviction melt the cold indifference of a world gone mad today. You are the fortress, you are the rock, you are the immutable truth in a world of lies. Never forget the heights you have reached today. Every thought you think and every action you take is a drop in the ocean of your character. Make sure each one is pure and true. See yourself as you truly are, a being of infinite potential and unshakable dignity, worthy of the peace you have worked so hard to finally build. The story of your life is not written by the world, it is written by the choices you make when no one is watching you and applaud. Walk your path with the steady gait of a king, for you have reclaimed your kingdom and your throne from the hands of the unworthy crowd. True strength is the ability to remain calm while the world is in chaos. To remain kind while the world is cruel and heartless today. Let the rain fall and let the storms rage. They are but external events that cannot touch the core of who you have finally become. Brave the world with the power of the immutable. Be the lighthouse in the storm, the rock in the sea, and the fortress in the field. Do not let the world alter your fundamental nature. Stand tall, stand firm. You are the fortress. You are the embodiment of the great and eternal unchangeable.